Love ain't about what you can give, nigga. Love is about what you can take.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It's not fair that Will was this good and didn't get nominated. Yeah, you're right. It's also not fair that Will was paid $20 million for Wild Wild West, okay?
Will Smith is one wild story walking. His life been nothing short of chaos lately. From his wife being with another man while they were still legally married, to that unforgettable moment when he slapped Chris Rock on live TV, and now new drama just keeps stacking up. Will's getting hit with some serious harassment allegations, and it's got everyone talking. This man been living in a storm for years. No peace, no breaks, just headline after headline. But let's be real, Will Smith ain't just any random dude. He's one of the most recognizable faces in the world. You could show a picture of Will Smith to almost anybody and they'd instantly know who he is. That smile, that energy, it's impossible to miss. But fame don't mean freedom from problems. Will's been dealing with way more than what the cameras show. There's a whole lot about his life that never made it to the public eye. Situations that would shock people if they knew the full story. He's been a superstar since the 80s, dominating music and movies. But behind all the success, things were never as perfect as they looked. If we rewind to his early days, when he was trying to switch lanes from rapping to acting on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will was already getting caught up in real-life trouble. Not with another person or some scandalous drama, but with the IRS. Yeah, that's right. He ran into the same kind of money mess that hits a lot of young stars who make it big too fast. The fame came quick, but the lessons came even quicker. Man, a lot of stars fall into this same trap. Will Smith ended up owing the IRS millions. He was getting that big money from his music career and went wild with it.
I talked to Jay and I talked to Kendrick, and I was like, hey, I wanna get back in music.
Buying fancy houses, flashy cars, designer clothes, everything he could dream of. But guess what? He forgot about the one group you never mess with, the IRS. They don't play around. Now, Will didn't end up behind bars like Wesley Snipes did, but the IRS still made his life miserable. They started seizing everything. His rides, his houses, even his paychecks. Every time a check came in, they snatched a huge chunk of it before it could even hit his hands. Imagine being rich and broke at the same time. That was Will's life. Famous, but with barely anything to his name. He was still making stacks, but it wasn't going to his pockets. The money just kept disappearing into debt payments. Eventually, that tough situation led him to his biggest break, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Crazy how life works, right? According to CNBC, Will's girlfriend at the time was the one who convinced him to go hang out on a TV set, hoping it might spark some kind of career opportunity. He didn't even want to go at first, but finally he gave in. And that one decision changed everything. That's where he met Benny Medina, the real-life inspiration behind the Fresh Prince story. So when Will finally landed that role, it wasn't like things instantly got easy. Nah. The man was still climbing out of debt, still grinding hard, still trying to get back what the IRS had taken. Nothing came smooth, but that show became his ticket back to the top. Once again, drama was brewing behind the scenes, and this time, it ran deep. There was a lot of conflict during The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that most people had no clue about. Even years later, Will Smith himself admitted that those days still weigh heavy on him. That show might have looked all fun and laughter on TV, but off camera, it was a whole different story. Think back to Aunt Vivian, the original one, played by Janet Hubert during the first 3 seasons. Then suddenly, boom, a new actress popped up in the later seasons. It wasn't just a simple recast or creative choice. Nah, this switch came with major tension. Word on the street was that the real reason behind Janet leaving had everything to do with Will Smith. Janet claimed that Will straight up ruined her name in the industry. She said he damaged her reputation so bad that it wrecked her whole career. While the cameras were rolling and the show was breaking records, the energy behind the scenes was tense. Cast members said she was difficult, that she wanted everything to revolve around her, and Will himself admitted he thought she was a problem to work with. He even said she was, quote, an asshole. For years, people ran with that story, painting Janet as the angry, hard-to-work-with actress who couldn't get along with anyone. But then, decades later, she finally spoke out. She broke down what really went down and how it sparked a 30-year feud between her and Will Smith. And it wasn't just about a bad day or a bad mood on set. It was something way deeper. There was real pain, real betrayal, and it changed both of their lives forever. It turns out the situation behind Janet Hubert's exit was way deeper than anyone imagined. Vanity Fair even broke it down. She revealed that while filming season 3 of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, she was actually pregnant and trapped in an abusive relationship. That kind of pain doesn't just stay at home. It follows you everywhere. Janet said, I was no longer laughing, smiling, joking, because there were things going on that nobody knew about. The cast had no clue what she was secretly dealing with. And if that wasn't enough, she was also battling major contract issues at the same time. According to Janet, the producers offered her a terrible deal, just 2 months and 2 weeks of work. And on top of that, she wasn't allowed to take any other jobs. That meant her paycheck got sliced down hard. She had a new baby and a husband who wasn't working. So turning that deal down wasn't about pride, it was about survival. Janet explained, I said no. I didn't accept the offer. I was never fired. But once she said no, they decided to recast the role, and her world fell apart. What could I do? She said. I was hurt deeply. And now that all the truth has come out, it's clear she was never the villain people made her out to be. She was a woman going through hell while trying to keep her life together. Back then, though, nobody knew she was pregnant. Nobody knew about the abuse at home or the stress she was carrying. To everyone else, it just looked like she was showing up to set with an attitude. And yeah, from the outside, it probably seemed like she was being difficult. But when you think about it from a human angle, when someone's fighting personal battles that heavy, it's no wonder things got tense. She was just trying to survive while the world judged her for falling apart. Imagine this. Your coworker comes to work every day with an attitude, snapping at people, treating everyone sideways. You'd feel some type of way too, right? Well, that's exactly how Will Smith felt on the Fresh Prince set. And that's where the tension between him and Janet Hubert really exploded. This wasn't just a quiet disagreement behind closed doors. It turned into a full-on feud that spilled into public interviews. Will was out there doing radio shows, actually talking about her by name. He said, I can straight up say that Janet Hubert wanted the show to be the Aunt Viv of Bel-Air show because I know she was going to do me in the press. Then he added, she basically went from making $250,000 a year to nothing. She mad now, but she's been mad all along. And Janet didn't hold back either. She fired back saying, once I've been in the business for 10 years and this snotty-nosed punk comes along and gets the show, that line alone shows how deep the resentment ran. Will even admitted that, in her eyes, he was the Antichrist. That's how bad their working relationship had gotten. Now, Will wasn't just some bystander in all this. He was a major player in what went down. Whether he meant to or not, he became one of the biggest reasons she ended up off the show. Once Janet's contract wasn't renewed, everything started crumbling for her. She said her career completely fell apart. No income, her family broke apart, Hollywood turned its back on her, and she became practically blacklisted from the industry. It wasn't just about losing a role. It was like she lost her whole world overnight. And through it all, she blamed Will Smith for that downfall. To her, he wasn't just a co-star, he was the reason her career and reputation vanished in front of everyone's eyes. Being shunned from your own family, that's pain on a whole different level. When the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion happened a few years back, Janet Hubert finally opened up about what those years were really like for her. She said, when I left the show, I had a baby on the way. No one. My family disowned me. Hollywood disowned me. My family said, you've ruined our name. She even told Will Smith directly how much that hurt. Janet explained that after she left the show, she stopped talking to everyone. Not because she was rude or unprofessional, but because she didn't know who she could trust anymore. She said people made her believe that Will himself was the reason she got banished from Hollywood. They said it was you who banished me because you were Will. You were the star. You were a kid, but it was hard, she told him with tears in her eyes. During that same reunion, Will finally spoke on it, and you could see the regret all over his face. He admitted that what happened between them still weighs heavy on his heart. He said if he had the wisdom and maturity he has now, things would have gone down completely differently. Will said, I made a horrible error and misjudged her value, her power, and her beauty in the show. I horribly underestimated what she was for me at that point in my life. That's powerful, because for years, Will never publicly took that kind of accountability. But in that reunion, he owned it. He didn't try to sugarcoat it or dodge blame. He straight up said he messed up. And while he can't erase what happened, you could tell he truly wishes he'd treated her better. So yeah, back in the day, Will Smith might have been caught up in his fame and ego, but today, he's looking back with real remorse. It's one of those rare Hollywood moments where both sides finally came face to face, and for the first time in 30 years, there was a little bit of peace. Come join the community. It's free and chill. Now let's get into one of the wildest Hollywood relationships ever. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, their marriage has always been different. Whether it's them openly admitting to having an open relationship or the constant stories about Jada's deep connection to Tupac, it's been non-stop drama. Their love life has caused controversy after controversy, and honestly, it's changed how people see both of them forever. Jada ain't some random celebrity. She's been in the game for decades, just like Will. But long before she became Mrs. Smith, she had a close relationship with Tupac Shakur, and that bond has always followed her. Over the years, it started to feel like she never really let go of him. Even while being married to Will, Jada would bring up Pac, almost like she was still mourning what could have been. You could feel how much that affected Will too. And this isn't just fan gossip. Jada herself has talked about it openly. She said multiple times that she still feels this deep connection to Tupac. Back in 2023, she did an interview and called Tupac her soulmate. Yeah, she actually used that word. In that rolling out interview, she said Tupac was her quote-unquote soulmate, even though they were never romantically involved. When the interviewer asked if a soulmate friendship could exist, Jada said, absolutely. That one comment alone had the internet in flames. People were saying Will's been living in the shadow of Tupac for years, and honestly, it's hard not to see why. Jada's been so open about how deep that bond ran that some folks started wondering if she ever truly moved on. Meanwhile, Will's been trying to hold his head high through it all, but you can tell, this situation has left some heavy scars. Jada really took things to another level with what she said next. In that same interview, she went on about her bond with Tupac, saying the idea of a soulmate doesn't always have to be romantic. Sometimes it's something deeper, something spiritual. She said, if there is such a thing as past lives, I definitely think Tupac and I would have traveled a few together. Wild, right? And don't forget, she said all this while still married to Will Smith. This was after the Chris Rock slap, after the whole August Alsina situation. And she's out here saying her soul traveled through lifetimes with another man. Now, let's be real. Most people wouldn't be okay hearing their spouse say something like that. Jada was basically confessing that her spirit's been connected to Tupac since forever. When they asked her if she regretted not taking things further with him, she said, it just wasn't possible. There was no chemistry between us. So on one hand, she says they weren't meant to be romantically involved, but on the other hand, she keeps describing him like he was her other half. Talk about confusing. And while all that was happening, the world was still trying to process the whole open marriage situation between her and Will. People were saying Jada made Will look like the biggest fool in Hollywood, especially after the August Alsina story broke. See, Jada and August got real close enough for it to become public. What started as a friendship turned into something much deeper, and August caught real feelings. It got messy fast. Dude fell hard like a teenager in his first love. When it ended, he couldn't handle it. He even said he couldn't function. That's how wrapped up he was in Jada, and all this played out while she was still married to Will Smith. It's like every time things started to quiet down, another layer of this relationship drama would pop up. Between Tupac's memory and August's heartbreak, Will's marriage kept turning into the internet's favorite soap opera, and he was always the one left standing in the middle of the storm. August Alsina really poured his heart out about the whole situation with Jada Pinkett Smith, and man, it got deep. He said, I gave this woman everything. I gave her my life. He went all in emotionally, into a relationship with a woman who was still married. Rookie mistake for real. Like, why give your whole soul to someone already in a marriage? It's wild, but hey, that was his reality. August said he completely devoted himself to Jada, body, mind, and spirit. He said, I gave my full self to it, so much so that I can die right now and be okay with knowing that I truly gave myself to somebody.
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me if you could film me.
Astaire, come help us again, please.
Being intertwined that way, walking away from it, butchered me. He even admitted he was shaking while saying it because the pain nearly destroyed him. It almost killed me. Not almost. It did. It pushed me into becoming another person, my newer self. It broke me down. That's some heavy heartbreak right there. And here's where it got even crazier. August claimed that he actually sat down with Will Smith himself and had a real conversation about it. He said Will gave him his blessing. According to August, it wasn't about cheating. It was about Will and Jada's so-called life partnership, the one they've talked about publicly, where romantic boundaries weren't really traditional anymore. He said, he gave me his blessing, and I totally gave myself to that relationship for years of my life. Man, that's wild. Whether or not Will really gave that blessing, the entire situation had the world talking nonstop. People were shocked. Like, how did this even happen so openly? And to make it crazier, this wasn't some old rumor. This was happening around 2019 and 2020. When those rumors hit the internet, everyone was saying the same thing, that Will Smith was out here letting another man get close to his wife while he just played it cool. The memes, the interviews, the entanglement talk. It all blew up online. It made Will look heartbroken and confused while the world watched his personal life turn into one of the most viral Hollywood scandals ever. And honestly, that whole situation still kind of sticks with Will to this day. Even though he supposedly gave August Alsina permission, that doesn't really make things any better. It's wild to think about. Will and Jada were technically married, but not really together. Will once said they were living separate lives under the same roof, just holding on to the title of husband and wife while both were doing their own thing. Jada was out there exploring other connections, including August, and Will claimed he was doing his own thing too, but you could tell it still hit him deep. The proof came during that now famous interview, the one where Jada sat across from Will and admitted to her entanglement with August. She said it right to his face. Yeah, August and I were involved. And man, you could see the pain in Will's eyes. He sat there, holding back tears, while the world watched. That image of him became one of the internet's most viral memes. People laughed, joked, and turned his heartbreak into entertainment. That moment broke the internet, and honestly, it marked a turning point in Will Smith's entire career. After that, a lot of people said they could never look at him the same again. The whole entanglement saga, the talk about Tupac, and the way it all unfolded made him look like he lost control of his own story. But believe it or not, that wasn't even the end of the chaos. Somewhere between the August Alsina drama and that explosive Oscars night, Will and Jada reportedly found their way back to each other again. It's like no matter what happens, they keep getting drawn back together. A love story filled with heartbreak, confusion, and scandal that just refuses to fade away. Now let's jump to one of the most unforgettable moments in Hollywood history, the night of the Oscars. Everyone remembers that night, right? Will Smith, Chris Rock, the slap heard around the world. It's burned into pop culture forever. Here's how it went down. Chris Rock was on stage doing what he does best, cracking jokes, and then he turned his focus to Jada Pinkett Smith. He said something like, "Can't wait to see you in G.I. Jane 2." The crowd laughed, but that joke cut deep. See, Jada wasn't bald by choice. She has alopecia, a medical condition that causes hair loss. That joke hit a nerve. Jada had already been open about how tough her struggle with alopecia was. She shaved her head because she was tired of watching her hair fall out, and it became something really personal for her. You could see it on her face that night. She didn't find it funny at all. And when Will saw that, his whole energy changed. Moments later, he marched right up on that stage and smacked Chris Rock across the face, live in front of millions. After that hit, Will walked back to his seat and shouted, "Keep my wife's name out your mouth." The whole room froze. Nobody knew if it was a bit or real, but it was real. That slap instantly became one of the most viral moments of 2022, flooding every social media feed within minutes. Now, here's the wild part. After everything Jada had put him through publicly, from the open marriage to the August Alsina mess, Will still defended her like that. Most people were stunned, saying, "Man, after all that, you still risk your career for her?" But that night, Will didn't care about the cameras, the audience, or the consequences. In that moment, it was pure emotion, raw, messy, and unforgettable. That slap was so insane that it went beyond Hollywood. It literally took over the entire world. The internet exploded instantly. Even on Chinese social media, where things are usually super strict, people were recreating the moment, making skits, parodies, memes, everything. It didn't matter what country you were in, everybody saw Will Smith smack Chris Rock that night. That's how viral it got. At the time, Will probably felt like he was doing the right thing, standing up for his wife in front of millions. For that split second, he must have thought, "Yeah, I'm defending my family." But looking back, it was definitely a bad move. The world was instantly divided. Half the people were saying, "Why would you hit a man over a joke?" While the other half said, "Nah, he did what any husband would do. He defended his woman." The debate got heated. Talk shows, podcasts, and Twitter threads, everyone had an opinion. Some called it powerful, others called it embarrassing. But one thing was certain. It changed Will Smith's reputation overnight. At first, Jada seemed unsure about how to handle the whole thing. She wasn't fully defending Will, and she even said she didn't really understand what was going on in the moment. It was awkward, to say the least. But as time passed, her tone started to shift. She began talking about the incident more positively, saying it actually brought them closer together. So yeah, Will slapped Chris Rock, faced massive backlash, and ended up buried in controversy. He lost deals, got mocked online, and reportedly faced serious fines from the Academy. Some say around $10 million. But despite all that chaos, Jada later claimed the whole mess somehow made their bond stronger. Wild how one of the craziest public meltdowns in award show history turned into what she now calls a healing moment. Ain't no telling how much the Oscars actually fined Will Smith for that slap, but it had to be serious. Jada later opened up about it and said that while it was rough at first, she eventually came to appreciate what Will did. She said, "It wasn't just about me. I'm going to be okay. I'm used to that. But making a joke about a condition people can't control, that's what hit me." She even mentioned hearing heartbreaking stories about kids who took their own lives because of alopecia, saying that moment hit her on a deep emotional level. Jada explained that during the show, she just couldn't fake a smile or laugh it off. She said, "I just wasn't okay with that." And honestly, you can't blame her for feeling that pain. But the internet didn't see it so black and white. Even now, people are still split. Not about whether Will was right or wrong for slapping Chris Rock, but about who he did it for. A lot of folks online said Jada wasn't worth all that drama. They felt like after everything she put Will through, the open marriage talks, the Tupac confessions, the August Alsina situation, that slap just didn't make sense. People kept saying, "Man, if that had been a different woman, this whole story would have been seen differently." And honestly, they might be right. But because it was Jada, and because of everything we've seen from their marriage, it became one of the most debated celebrity moments ever. Fans couldn't stop asking, was it really worth it? Still, time moves on. And by the time 2025 rolled around, Will Smith was ready to switch things up again. That year became one of the most interesting chapters in his career. After years of being the butt of jokes, the crying meme, and the guy everyone roasted after the Oscars, Will decided to reclaim his story. He started pushing hard again, especially in music. Will was back in full force, showing the world he wasn't going to let memes or scandals define him anymore. Whether people loved him or hated him, one thing was clear. He was back on his grind, and this time, he wasn't holding back. Will Smith was making a serious comeback in 2025, touring, dropping new music, and getting back into the spotlight. He was performing at big shows like Lyrical Lemonade, even doing live sets with Playboy Max, proving he could still hold his own in the rap scene. It seemed like he was finally getting that old Will Smith energy back. But just when people started to take him seriously again, something wild hit the headlines. By the end of the year, everything flipped, because suddenly, Will found himself caught up in some heavy allegations. In December, a man named Brian King Joseph, a violinist who had toured with Will, came forward with shocking claims about what supposedly went down while they were on tour together. According to reports, Joseph said some strange and unsettling things happened around March 2025 while he was traveling with Will. He claimed that one night, someone entered his hotel room, but there were no signs of forced entry. What made it worse was what he said was left behind. A handwritten note that allegedly read, "Brian, I'll be back, just us," with a little heart drawn next to it, and signed Stone F. The reports also mentioned a bunch of strange items found in the room: a bottle of beer, disinfectant wipes, a red backpack, a bottle of HIV medication under another person's name, an earring, and even hospital discharge papers belonging to someone Joseph didn't recognize. He said that when he saw all that, he freaked out, thinking whoever came in might come back with bad intentions. Joseph later told media outlets that he genuinely feared for his safety and believed someone was planning something disturbing against him. These claims immediately blew up online, with people posting screenshots, TikToks, and YouTube videos dissecting every piece of the story. It was a complete shocker. Will Smith had just started rebuilding his image, only to get slammed with another huge controversy. Whether true or not, the timing couldn't have been worse. And once again, Will Smith's name was back in the middle of chaos just when he thought he'd escaped it. According to the official complaint, Brian King Joseph accused Will Smith of deliberately grooming and priming him for further sexual exploitation. Those are some serious words, and the details in the claim only made the story sound stranger. Joseph said that someone had slipped into his hotel room and left behind a bunch of random, unsettling stuff: wipes, a beer bottle, a red book bag, some hospital paperwork, and even a bottle of HIV medication under another person's name. He also mentioned an earring being part of the mix, which made the whole thing feel even weirder. People online were asking the same questions. What does all that even mean? Why the medication? Why the earring? It didn't add up. Feeling terrified, Joseph said he went straight to the hotel staff and then to the authorities to report what happened. He told them he was scared and didn't feel safe anymore. But when the hotel looked into it, they told him something that only made things more complicated. The only people with access to his room were himself and people connected to Will Smith's tour team. After filing the report, things reportedly got worse for Joseph. He claimed that once he spoke out, he was dropped from the tour completely. He said he felt shamed and pushed aside for bringing attention to what happened. Meanwhile, Will Smith's camp quickly responded, denying everything and calling the whole situation a lie. According to Will's legal team, Joseph's accusations concerning my client are false, baseless, and reckless. They are categorically denied, and we will use all legal means available to address these claims and ensure the truth is brought to light. So on one side, you've got Joseph saying he was scared for his safety and punished for speaking up, and on the other, Will's team calling it a total fabrication. The story had all the makings of a full-blown Hollywood scandal, strange evidence, shocking allegations, and no clear answers. And once again, Will Smith's name was back in headlines, caught up in controversy he couldn't escape. I'm still stuck on this whole thing. It just doesn't add up. What does any of this actually have to do with Will Smith himself? I get that the guy said it was part of Will's team, but come on. How do you even know Will personally had anything to do with it? How can you be sure he went to your room? And seriously, why would anyone leave that kind of medicine behind? None of it makes sense. Now, I'm not saying the man's lying. Maybe he really did experience something strange, but when you look at the details, it's hard to piece it all together. You watching this video to hear my take, and honestly, I'm just being real. The story sounds confusing and full of holes, but this ain't even the first time we've heard strange rumors being thrown around about Will Smith. A while back, his former assistant came forward with a wild claim, saying he allegedly walked in on Will Smith and actor Dwayne Martin in a private situation.
So I had the keys to his dressing room. All right, I opened the door to Dwayne's dressing room, and that's when I see Dwayne and having sex with Will. There was a couch and Will.
Yeah, he said that during an interview, and it caused a massive stir online. Everyone was talking about it, trying to figure out if there was any truth behind it, or if it was just another attempt to drag Will's name through the mud. At this point, it feels like Will Smith's entire life has turned into one long saga, filled with fame, success, pain, and non-stop controversy. From the drama with Jada and August Alsina to the Oscar slap to these new allegations, there's always something swirling around him. And honestly, it's like we're watching a man who's still trying to balance the superstar life with all the chaos that keeps finding him. There's definitely a darker, more complicated side to Will Smith that most people never see. One that keeps leaking out piece by piece through all these stories and scandals. Maybe one day he'll tell the full truth himself, but until then, the mystery around Will just keeps getting deeper. If you made it this far, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment with your thoughts on all this. Do you think these stories are real, or is Will just caught in another round of wild Hollywood rumors? Let me know what you think, because this saga definitely isn't over yet.